Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As Patrick mentioned, we're going to try out a new format where I'm combining two speeches into one. The theme of the speech is change is a constant. What I'll be doing first is going through how to deliver unwelcome news, and then I will go through how to communicate change in order to work through that unwelcome news and to move towards a new result or a better outcome. So as far as part one, which is delivering the unwelcome news, I'm going to provide you with the context, the background for how I'm going to plan to talk to an executive on why keeping a Toastmasters Club open is important to the company. So we'll go through that. So this is a fictional situation. However, it's inspired by true stories that either I've been involved with or I've been aware of over my time here at Toastmasters. The situation is a once successful corporate Toastmasters Club is in danger of failing. There's very low morale. The meetings themselves are very boring and uninspired. The attendance is poor, and they're not seeing any members wishing to renew their membership. So a very challenging situation. The club, which was at its peak almost close to 50 members, is down to 12 members at that critical level where you need intervention. The majority of the 12, officers included, are passive. They're not engaged, or they're not as active as they once were. And the company, having observed the lower amount of participants in these meetings over a period of time, have asked the club to relocate their meeting. They were once given this big grand conference room to hold it. Now they're being asked to relocate to a more traditional or smaller conference room in the company. Two options are available for this club. One is to either close down the club because there's just no interest, or two, find a different home so that they can either lower the cost to the company or just make sure that they have a different option to present their materials within their district. On top of this, the club president, the previous club president, stepped down because that person felt that they were not eligible for serving the members anymore. So a new person was appointed in the role, and they are coming into this situation brand new, eyes wide open, to try to figure out how to communicate this. So this is the background. So as I walk through the speech, this will hopefully give you some information as well. The club president goes to the executive management team. He has about 5 minutes, 7 minutes to deliver the speech, and essentially I will speak on behalf of the president or provide that channel into his voice. So first, as the executive management team, I am honored to be chosen to lead this Toastmasters Club because I believe this is an extraordinary resource that plays an important role in this company. The Toastmasters Club has evolved over time as one of the most valuable and respected clubs in the company. But as you know, we've made some terrible mistakes and have not effectively managed our membership, and we need to be able to address our shortcomings to engage and retain our members. Many of you in the company, management, our club officers, our members, have focused on closing down or relocating the club due to our challenges. But remember, what we still have in place are 12 members, club officers included, that have the potential to renew and sustain their engagement. To fully capture and capitalize on this opportunity, we must have a strong foundation for growth, and we must act with an extreme sense of urgency to remediate our membership as well as our leadership issues. We still have much time and much more work to do here to put these issues behind us. And our future depends on us doing this successfully so we can regain trust with all of our stakeholders, principally our members, our club officers, and you as the management team, so that we can serve the broader company to help develop the next and current and future generation of speakers and leaders. In short, Our actions will speak louder than our words. Given the importance of all these issues, I've given a clear message to our club that we have not yet met our own expectations or the expectations of others. So let us do what is necessary to not just save this club, but to see this club succeed going forward. We want to be able to maximize the value of this great club, and it's dependent on the club running the club successfully and meeting the highest standards of excellence and integrity beyond what we've done to date. It's our job to run the club, and it's our job to earn our keep within the company. Therefore, as club president, I've made a decision to relocate the meeting room until we have earned that validation that we are truly a high-performing club. We must recognize that change is the constant. We must recognize that. While I certainly wish a lot of this hard work was behind us, what's required of us right now is a 120-day change management plan, and we were going to get that done, as we will explain here in just a few minutes. This change management plan has worked successfully with other clubs, and we are essentially using the same roadmap, and it's a clear roadmap that we need to use to achieve our goals. And this will make us a more effective club, a much more worthy club, not just in our members' eyes, our club officers' eyes, but in the organization's eyes. Our future success depends on resolving these issues, so we will act accordingly. The club officers will be judged and will be held accountable by the way they resolve the issues and work with our members to make this club a successful one. We've added a key resource during this time to help us with our change management plan. Scott Powell has joined us as the club coach. When I arrived as the club president, many club officers and many members made clear to me that we needed stronger leadership skills. And after 2 weeks at the club, I agree with that assessment from everyone within our organization, within our club. Scott's going to help us transform the club across the organization by emphasizing execution, clear accountability, and membership excellence as it becomes part of our culture going forward. While we go through this change, I want to take a moment here and recognize, just as importantly, the wonderful people in our club that have done an amazing job serving our members and have dealt with all the adversity over the past few years to keep us where we're at and to keep Toastmasters alive and well in our company. They've been through so much, and they've given us a great understanding of our brand and what it means to our club and to our organization. So I want to say thank you to them for all the work that they've done, all the warmth and support they've given me as incoming president, and as I've discussed the shortcomings and the challenges and the work in front of us, the people who are still with us today, the 12 strong, are really the character of this club. They understand our lack of progress makes our work more difficult, and they're looking to obtain executive management support to move the club forward. To get the job done, we need executive leadership buy-in. Going forward, I implore you as executive management team, we need to foster a culture of partnership and have open and direct fact-based discussions on where we decide to position this club going forward. We will have a different level of leadership than we've had in the past, and we will expect and anticipate high-quality execution. There's going to be clear responsibilities and clear roles and accountability across the board. We're going to judge ourselves based on outcomes, not our words. And ultimately, we will judge ourselves not just against the best clubs, but ultimately to become the best club. So with that in mind, I'd like to talk to you about the change management plan itself, communicating change, which is part 2 of this. Our corporate club. Our company today supports 4 different demographics of workers, something we've never seen before. We've had baby boomers, we have Gen Xers, we have the millennials, the Gen Y, and we have Gen Z, who have just started to graduate and come into the workforce. They all have different preferences of communication. They all have different lifestyles. They have different motivations, different attitudes, different cultures. We're seeing many more African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians enter the workplace, and they're bringing all kinds of different wonderful assets into the company that we haven't had before. Our diversity gives us a lot of strength. At the same token, we need to understand what unites us. So we are united by a purpose, and that is to be the best version of ourselves in life and in our work. So as we go through these very trends that we see in the workplace, we're going to talk about the change management plan. So as we want to be on outcomes, what's important though is focusing on the process as how we get to the ultimate result. Implementing the change management plan involves many elements. Number one, this is about building rapport. What do I mean by that? This is really looking at our 12 individuals who are still with us and really focusing on who they are as individuals and making sure that we're meeting their needs and their goals. We want to focus on boosting morale. Every conversation we have going forward must have positive language attached to it. We cannot come in with negative language because that's going to continue us in a downward spiral. We will not reverse this course. So we will focus on how we communicate with each other and treat each other going forward. Involvement. One of the things we spoke about as far as involvement and why we are where we're at is people don't feel engaged in our meetings. We are going to sharpen the meeting roles. We're going to go through our meeting rituals and make sure that people are fully engaged going forward. We're going to bond through activities. This club should not just be about speaking and how to become better leaders. We should get to know each other off-site. We're going to talk about how we're going to host some off-campus events just to play and not necessarily work, so that we can build more camaraderie amongst the team. We're going to talk about speech contests, how people can get more involved with that, so people can actually participate at a higher level and they can start becoming that best version of themselves. We're going to offer support. Coaching, mentoring is going to be crucial, especially for guests and new members as they come through the door. And then as the new generations start coming into play, social media is such a huge aspect of what they do. It's how they engage, it's how they retain a lot of information. So this is about sharing video, sharing content, sharing resources. Whether it's social media or workshops or the way we introduce guests, we need to be able to leverage technology and tools, and I am willing to listen to whoever has the best ideas on how to do that. And as far as our membership, we have to focus on recruiting. We have to continue to have open, not just workshops, but we should also have tables set up in the lobby whenever possible to keep recruiting and to keep our pipeline fresh with new and existing members. The nature and the scope of this change ultimately comes down to pathways. We've talked about diversity in the workplace. We want to make sure that the scope of all this change allows people to choose the leadership and communication track that best meets their needs based on their culture, based on their communication style, based on their leadership style. And the 11 options that you see here, the 11 paths, reflect that very scope of change. Change is the constant. I came across a quote the other day, which is, if you don't like change, you'll like irrelevance even less. When you come into work every day, you get comfortable in your environment, in your routines, and in your decisions. And so when change occurs, we all have a certain amount of defensiveness in us about why it won't work or why something may not play out. And that's generally not a good thing. We must be open to change because change is the constant. Organizations keep moving on regardless of whether you're there or not, but you have to be able to adapt and go along with the times. In conclusion, choose your path wisely, and I encourage management to choose their path and align it with ours so we can make a successful club and a successful organization going forward. Thank you for your time.
Okay, this is the foundational part of our meeting, the meat of the meeting to provide our feedback to our speakers. How did each of our speakers do in their particular assignments to meet their goals that they set for themselves today? Our first speaker, Mohun Sundar, presenting Change is the Constant. Change is the constant. Mohun, your evaluator today is Patrick James. Patrick, how did he do?
Mohun did a great job, and especially both these topics that Mohun covered are very important for us being a project manager. And we always looking for new ideas, new information to get better in these two areas. So Mohun covered how to deliver a bad news and how to manage changes in your organization. Great speech, Mohun. Thank you for reminding us and adding more to our experience and to manage these two areas. The contents are great, but with everything else, I would just like to highlight two things that, in my personal opinion, it might help to improve in your future speeches. One, I noticed that the content that you were sharing on your PowerPoint were too busy to me. Suggestion would be maybe using bullet points. And on the second speech, I also noticed that you did touch base on certain suggestions. For example, you suggested that we will try to build a better repo. This is a good as a suggestion, but I'd be more interested to know what exactly would be that you would do to build that repo. So those are the two things that I noticed and I wanted to share with you, and hopefully we can all learn and see how we can make our presentations better. Overall, we really loved it. Great job, and thank you for sharing this with us. This is always, we learn something new every day. Thanks.